What's up, everybody? Mark with Coffee and Toys here. It is Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. And that means today we have another G.I. Joe comic book review. And today on the docket, we are reviewing the final issue of the Duke miniseries. That's right, Duke issue 5 hit newsstands this last Wednesday. I don't know why I said newsstands. It hit your local comic book shop. That being said, read through it, very much enjoyed it, and I will be doing, of course, another full review of the issue. There will be spoilers, so if you're not interested in spoilers, you should probably tune out now. Go check out one of my other videos. If you are still interested, first things first, we need to talk about coffee. Coffee I'm drinking today, of course, is from coffeebrandcoffee.com. You can visit them. You can use my promo code Coffee&Toys and save yourself 5% on your first order and every subsequent order. You help out the channel, you help me. Great stuff going on. I'm actually drinking the Roaster's Choice for this month, and it's a dark roast. It's from Ethiopia. I really do enjoy it. You can actually get yourself your own subscription to their Roaster's Choice Club. $12.50 gives you that first month half off, and it's $25 a month after that, straight to your doorstep. Support a great American company, a great roasting company, and a great cup of coffee. So with that said, I'm going to set my coffee off to the side, and we are just going to jump right into it. Okay, before we jump into issue 5, let's recap what happened at the end of issue 4 of Duke. We know that Duke, at the end of issue 4, has managed to get to Mars Industries' secret base in the Colorado mountains, and he has discovered the plan of weapons, and he sees a lot of things that make him believe he has found the location of these robots that turn into vehicles. And at the very end of the issue, Duke is attacked by a battle android trooper, and that is where we leave the issue off at a cliffhanger. And with that being said, we jump into Duke issue 5. And of course, Duke issue number 5 is once again written by Joshua Williamson, artist Tom Riley, colorist Jordi Belair, and letterer Russ Wooten. This team has done fantastic for the Duke miniseries. I can't wait to see if they're going to be the ones doing Scarlet and Destro, the next set of miniseries. Be very excited. Hope they are just going to be part of that as well. This universe building has been fantastic. But starting off issue 5, we start inside the pit, which you might remember has been destroyed after the battle with the Bloodhounds. And Colonel Hawk is yelling at Clutch saying, "Where the hell is Duke?" And Clutch just gives him the old, you know, "You don't scare me. I don't care what you have to say. I'm not going to tell you where my boy's at." So Colonel Hawk is very furious because he doesn't know what happened to Duke. But Stalker comes up and says, "Colonel Hawk, we have this device. It looks like it's a smashed cell phone." And he goes, "We might be able to use this to locate where Duke was heading." Cutting back, we go back to the battle between Duke and the battle android trooper. And Duke is just getting manhandled by the bat. Throwing him against things, smashing him down, until Destro shows up, who has been watching from the shadows with Mercer. And with a click of a button, he turns the bat off, and he walks up to Duke and says, "Hey, you are searching for all sorts of answers. Your country has given up on you." And I do want to take a moment to point out that this is the first time we actually do see Destro in his, like, a full reveal of Destro. We've seen him in the shadows. We've seen, like, parts of his mask, parts of his outfit. But this is full-blown Destro's here, and he's speaking with Duke. And furthermore, he does sport a very nice dark red, crimson / burgundy, and leopard print suit. So yes, he is wearing what is the infamous Pimp Daddy suit, but it is more of a traditional actual suit. And nothing like any of the action figures we've seen in the past. He just looks like a man in a metal mask wearing a burgundy colored suit with leopard print. But it is still really cool. I appreciate the team giving us that because it looks really neat. And doing it bare-chested, by the way. He has the bare chest with the medallion. Only Destro can rock that. So Duke and Destro conversing. Destro saying, "These guys are the way of the future. You are not. They don't disobey orders. You do. And you are searching for answers, and I think I can help you find some of whatever answers you're looking for if you just work with me. And Duke is getting really riled up, and he wants to fight Destro. And Duke basically says, you created these killer robots that turn into jets. And upon saying that, Destro kind of looks at him inquisitively and says, that's fascinating, but no, those are not mine, which stuns Duke. Duke's like, what do you mean they're not yours? And Destro says, look, you're looking for something, I'm looking for something, let's team up. The U.S. has betrayed you, join my force, and you'll get your answers because I can provide them. I have the means to provide them. And of course, we get the cut of the hands going to meet each other and to shake hands, and Duke decides to headbutt Destro, which is hilarious because the very next panel is Destro just saying, are you insane? Because Duke just headbutted a man with a metal mask. Very strange. And Duke tries to fight Destro. He wants to fight Destro, and Destro just activates the bat and says, I'm done with you. And as he's doing that, he looks at Mercer and says, hey, make sure you clean up the body after the bat's done with it. And Mercer says, we just got word that the phone that Duke had just pinged again, and that might tip someone off to our location. Destro gives a sigh, looks over at Scrap Iron and says, can you make sure this place is completely obliterated, leveled to the ground? He even makes a comment that this will be a nice tax write-off for this location. And of course, Scrap Iron says, yep, no problem, we'll take care of it. Once Duke's dead, I'll blow up the building, set it on fire, whatever. And the three proceed to leave. So Duke is back into round number 2 fighting this bat, and he finds a rifle in one of the boxes that got smashed from their previous fight. And he grabs the rifle out, takes aim at the bat, and click. Rifle doesn't fire, and Duke even makes the comment, I honestly didn't expect them to practice gun safety. So I thought that was funny because there was actually no ammo in the weapon. And I always make this joke when I do my toy reviews that Cobra figures, bad guy figures don't adhere to gun safety. But now, at least in the comics, they seem to. So I thought that was pretty neat. So he decides to use the gun just as a bat and starts swinging for the fences on this battle android trooper, who again is just beating on him. And we get to actually see the bat take off its claw arm and snap on the flamethrower, so very cool nod to the classic toy. And, he starts setting the building on fire, and Duke's just trying to avoid being, burnt to a crisp. We cut back to Destro, Scrap Iron, and Mercer, and they're actually getting into the sting. And as that's happening, we cut back, and Duke is fighting with the bat, and the bat seems to have the upper hand, but Duke manages to jump up on its shoulders and just begin a Herculean effort of pulling on its head. And as he's pulling on the head, you see it start to dislodge from the body. And with one great pull, Duke has now pulled a Sub-Zero fatality on this bat, except the bat's not dead. The bat is still swinging for the fences wildly, can't see what's going on. And now we have a headless bat still trying to kill Duke. And Scrap Iron, Mercer, and Destro are getting in the sting and leaving the base. Duke decides then he is going to just start clubbing this thing almost like a mace, using the spine and swinging the head against the bat, and just begins pummeling the bat. And as he's pummeling it, we get cuts of Duke remembering Starscream, smashing the jet out of the sky, and he's using that anger and rage to pummel this bat, like I said, into oblivion, and finally takes the bat offline. Scrap Iron actually gets a message and it says to Destro, hey, the bat just went offline. I cannot believe that this guy actually destroyed one of these things, or enough to it's no longer online. And Destro basically confirms what we learned in an earlier issue, saying, yes, these things do not have enough power that we actually need. My scientist told me this would be a problem. We need to find a better energy source so we can all see where this is going. We get a final shot as the Stinger's leaving away. Duke, exhausted, falls over beside the bat and just lays there, and he basically thinks, I've avenged you, to his friend who died by Starscream, thinking, hey, I destroyed this bat. Destro's gotten away, but I've done what I needed to do. And as he's laying there, we see the Stinger We see Scrap Iron push the button, and the building explodes as the Stinger drives away. Cut to a news report where we hear that, I'm looking at my notes again. We move forward to a news report where First Sergeant Conrad Hauser has been found dead today in the Colorado mountains. And they proceed to talk about how Dr. Burkhart and him were in this huge conspiracy, and the original thought was that he had killed Dr. Burkhart and 15 others, but that it was later reported by the Pentagon and by Colonel Hawk that it was actually Major Blood and his bloodhounds that did all these killings, not Duke. Duke died, and Colonel Hawk goes on saying as a real American hero, and that Duke will be buried at Arlington Cemetery. So we have this full-page spread of this news report that's going on. Turning to the next page, however, we see Duke laying in a hospital bed. He is now clean-shaven. His hair is in the classic Duke haircut, and he is handcuffed to the hospital bed. So with that being said, Colonel Hawk shows up with CoverGirl, and Duke's livid. He's like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. I've dealt with Destro. I am out of this. And Colonel Hawk says, listen, son, I need to tell you a few things. You need to work with me. Why don't we go take a ride, and I'll tell you more about what I'm thinking. So Duke reluctantly agrees. They hop into a vehicle, and they proceed to go to the pit. And when they show up at the pit, Clutch is there. And Clutch is all happy, and Clutch is like, I knew they couldn't kill you. They can't stop my boy. And he actually makes the comment that he says, I knew you weren't dead, shakes his hand and says, he never gives up. So again, another nod to nostalgia, to classic, the cartoon. He never gives up. He'll stay till the fight's won. So I appreciated Joshua Williamson putting that in the comic as well. Hawk goes on to say that he wants to build, and again, another good nod here, a highly trained special missions force. So again, just more nods to classic stuff that people of my age and a little bit older really are going to appreciate. So I thought that was great that they also wrote that into the story. A highly trained special missions force that can stop threats like Destro and Mars. Duke tells him, I am done with this. I am not taking part in any more of these secret wars, these secret groups. I am done with it. And Hawk goes on to say, hey, this is more than just about Destro. It's more than just about your jet that turned into a robot. There is something much more going on. And with that, Duke turns around and CoverGirl hands him a data pad. And they, on the last page, the second to last panel, they show none other than Optimus Prime. And it's a picture of him in battle in robot form, shooting his cannon. And Hawk says, this SOB turns into a truck. And Destro might not have built them, but someone did, and we need to stop them. And he looks back at Duke and he says, what do you say now, Duke? We get the miniseries, the final panel, shows Duke, Clutch, Stalker, Rock and Roll, all standing together, and Duke says, we destroy them all. And that, my friends, is the end of Duke miniseries, the 5-issue limited series from Image Comics, Skybound Entertainment, and wow, what a great, great series. I didn't know what to expect. I don't enjoy my Transformers and G.I. Joes necessarily crossing together. I know why they do it, but this Energon universe and these backstories leading through the Energon universe from the G.I. Joe perspective are fantastic. And I don't want to get too far ahead, but I do believe they have already announced, and I'm looking right now, I believe they have already announced that if you haven't picked up the first 5 issues, they are coming out with Volume 1 of Duke very soon. I'm actually trying to see if it's in here. Yes, June 2024. So in 2 months' time, you will be able to read all 5 issues of Duke in a single collection, Volume 1 Duke. Hopefully that means we get a Volume 2 of Duke. But yes, this series, fantastic. I've loved it. I love the backstory. I love the character building. And it's really just setting up the Energon universe so well. And I'm loving the new spin on G.I. Joe. I like that they're not even G.I. Joe yet, so that's really fun. And yeah, that is where Duke ends. But we aren't through yet. because, oh, I guess I should tell you before we get into the special additional feature, this is the regular cover of Duke issue 5. I was able to get this cover, and I was able to get the variant cover. Again, I apologize for the glare. This is Duke and the bat coming out of the fire or smoke, whatever it is. I really do like this one. I think this is a really good print. This is my keep away that I'm not going to open. But yes, there is an additional special feature in this book, and that special feature, boys and girls, is we get a preview of Destro. That's right. So with that being said, let's talk about the preview of issue 1 of Destro coming out in June. Okay, here is my mini review of the upcoming Destro limited series from Skybound Entertainment Image Comics. We do get a small couple pages worth, not much, of issue 1 of Destro, and I do want to go ahead and review that with you guys right now because it just gets me excited for June, even more excited. So with that being said, the preview of Destro issue number 1 is as follows. We are in a country at war with a paramilitary group blocking a group of revolutionaries in front of a huge palace. And while they're in front of this palace, the paramilitary group is geared up. They've got guns pointing at the revolutionaries, and suddenly we get a close-up of a battle android trooper standing in front of the revolutionaries. The bat arms up, opens fire, and it's just mowing down the paramilitary group as the bat itself is getting pummeled with bullets. Next page we open up and we see many bats dropping out of a helicopter, and they're all landing boots on the ground, attacking the paramilitary group. And meanwhile, we see from the palace, the Prime Minister watches, and he is of the impression that his group is taking care of the revolutionaries because they're hearing all this gunfire, seeing all these explosions. But then quickly, that comes to light that the revolutionaries are actually taking over. The soldiers have to fall back to the palace, and the revolutionaries continue to move forward. Finding this out, the Prime Minister realizes that he is defeated, and he says, "Get him on the line." We don't know who him is. The revolutionaries push the military back, and they exclaim that Darklonia is free. That's right, the country is Darklonia. And I am very excited because that means I just might get to see Darklon. I love Darklon. But just then, the bats turn around and face the revolutionaries and begin opening fire. And we get a view from the bats' point of view of the many dead revolutionaries, one even with a peace sign on the ground. The final panel of the preview shows Destro speaking with the Prime Minister and saying, "The Darklonian people accept your resignation, Prime Minister." And that's it. That's all we get as a small taste of Destro issue number 1 coming out in June of this year. I'm stoked for it. With Destro coming and Scarlet on the way in June as well, I am very excited. I want to know more about Mars Industries. I want to know more about Destro. Not my favorite Cobra character, but definitely one I've always enjoyed because he's always played that line similar to Zartan of, "I'm not bad, I'm not good, I'm just here with a service that I give." He's always been that way, and I've always enjoyed it. So getting to have a mini-series around Destro is going to be very, very exciting. But tell me what you think in the comments down below because I want to know what you guys thought of Duke. Did you pick up issue 5? Make sure you hit your local comic book shop, support local business, and let me know what you think of Duke issue 5 and the series overall. What did you think of it? I would love to hear your comments and respond to them. But with that said, I'm Mark. You've been watching Coffee with Toys, and I'll see you later.